You want your future self to thank you, then implement front end thinking. That's what we're talking about today. Hi, this is Frank Buck, and this is the place to be if you want to get organized and make it look easy. My final 3 years in education were spent at the central office level. A close colleague occupied the office directly across the hall from me. She said to me one day, "You changed my life 10 years ago." When I asked what she was talking about, she reminded me of a little workshop that I had done for local educators 10 years before. That was back in the days when we were all using paper planners, and my workshop centered around the nuts and bolts of using that tool. She came away from that workshop with the idea that she could keep everything in one place in that book, the places you need to be, the things you need to do, your address book, important reference information, notes from meetings and phone calls that you have during the day, all in one place. So now fast forward 10 years and we're working together at the central office, and the school system is buying Blackberries for all of its administrators. So now we're sort of dating this a little bit. Now, realize I had gone digital full 6 years before that, syncing Outlook to the Palm. Some of you may remember the Palm back in those days. That was a neat device. The task was now simply for me to sync Outlook to the BlackBerry, which was dirt simple to do. And I'm up and going. Everything right there on that one little tool synced to the software on my computer. Now, my colleague said that her paper planner had grown thick over the years, and she was intrigued by how I was keeping everything in one digital system. And that system included everything being on one mobile device. So we quickly worked together to get her system up and going on her BlackBerry synced with Outlook. So as she watched me work on a day to day basis, one day she said to me, the thing is that you're doing all the thinking on the front end. What she meant by this was that the tasks and projects that show up for all of us now, we have the tendency to just sort of postpone the whole thing until later when things quiet down and we have more time, and then we'll worry about it then. But of course, what happens is things never do quiet down, and we sort of sometimes forget all about the whole thing and it slips through the cracks. Yes, front end thinking is responsible in large part for my being in total control over my time and surroundings and having the peace of mind that nothing is falling through the cracks. Many of us are good at writing things down, but then how many of us go a step further right now, today, to decide on what the to dos are and what the calendar appointments are and put those things in the appropriate places? So now that we sort of tie a bow around the whole thing and we earn the right to forget about it. So then when the future does come up, it's all nice and neat and it's organized. And what we need to do is clear because our memories are a little bit on the fuzzy side. This month we've been talking about digital tasks, and we'll continue that conversation next week as we talk about handling multiple projects so that you know exactly where you are on each one, where the information you need is located, and how to know when you've done. Because if you haven't arrived at your definition of what done looks like, then half finished things keep hanging around. You need a clear path from A to Z, and you can't establish a clear path until you know what Z looks like. And you can't start on that clear path from A to Z until you know where A is. Now, you don't have to know about B and C, let alone elemental P. You've got to take that moment, though, to decide what A is. And when you're finished with that, decide what B is. When you get in the car to drive to your destination, you need to know where your destination is, or you're going to wind up driving around aimlessly. That's one example of front end thinking. We do it all the time. And taking a few moments to decide where you might want to eat along the way and what sites you might want to stop and see. Well, that's more of that same front end thinking. People say, well, I'll handle it when I'm thinking about it. Well, when that new piece of information or task lands in your area of responsibility, well, you're thinking about it right now. Why not do yourself a favor in the moment? Do a little front end thinking. Have some of those decisions in place. Your future self will thank you. And thank you for stopping by today. This has been Frank Buck helping you get organized and make it look easy.